Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Wade Pierce, and I am so excited to be sharing with you today something that by the end of this webinar, you will realize you're one of the few people who have access to some knowledge that, is really transforming the entire pickleball industry, which you're going to come to know very intimately in a few moments. It'll be fun, it'll be moving, and take some notes if you want to, which is probably a good idea. And then at the end, I'm going to share some special information with you, so hang around and you will be glad you did. So what are we going to cover and how are we going to go about doing it? You're going to learn how you can stake your claim in the exploding pickleball gold rush and get paid while you're playing pickleball. Pretty good idea, right? You ready? All right, let's get going. Many times in life, the biggest opportunities are right in front of our face and we don't even see them. You know, pickleball is exactly like this. It's experiencing incredible growth and momentum, but only a handful of people in the know are capitalizing on it. You know, by the end of this webinar, you're going to realize it's your turn, and you're going to be one of the in the know people who can also take advantage of this rare opportunity. So how did this all come to be? It's at this point that I'm going to make a little change in how this presentation is going to flow. So Sam and I were talking, and he was sharing with me his experience and his desire of what he wanted to do with pickleball, and sharing his story. I said, you have to tell that story. And he said, well, you tell it. I said, well, is some Canadian gonna tell it? I mean, this is focused on the US market, and you have some Canadian, which I'm pretty sure anyone listening, you can hear the accent. But I said, I'd be happy to, because the more I looked into it, the more I got inspired by pickleball. I didn't know much about it. Then I got completely enrolled into it. Said, I'm happy to tell the story. So through this presentation, I am going to be Sam. Instead of saying he said, she said throughout the presentation, making it cumbersome, I will be Sam, even though it's a Canadian accent, so enjoy. And here's the day that everything changed for the game. How a little girl changed pickleball forever. I was on my way to play pickleball like I do 6 times a week, and I saw this little girl crying about 20 yards away from the court. I asked her, are you okay? And do you need any help? She sniffled and looked up at me. And as she was, I just kind of noticed some deformity in her hand. I just kind of glanced and noticed, and it made me flash back to my own injuries. I played tennis for years and played competitively, and 6 surgeries forced me out of the game. So I asked her again, what's the matter? She said 6 words that changed everything about the future of pickleball for me. What did she say? Why can't I play pickleball too? Over the next few hours and coming days, those 6 words would enter my heart and mind in a big way and alter the course of my life. So I asked her why she felt she couldn't play. And she began to tell me the courts were always full of adults and there was never any room for her to play. And she could never get a game and didn't own a paddle. I thought about that for a moment. I thought she was right. I rarely saw kids playing and the courts were pretty much always full. So I asked her, do you want to play? She said, absolutely. So we went and played and had an absolute blast. I watched her hold the paddle with her injured hand with ease. I was a little concerned. She looked a little awkward, but it didn't even slow her down a bit. But people began noticing her and for some reason decided to gather around and watch us play. Then several of them asked if they could play with her, and it was actually magic to watch. I just backed out a bit. I sat down and watched people in their 70s play with a kid who was maybe 10. It was amazing to watch. Then it struck me. Why isn't this happening all over the country? That's when my new life began. I went headlong into finding out why, and what I ended up learning changed the course of my life. You'll see what I mean in a moment. Now go ahead, watch this.
You may have heard about it or even seen the new sport being played at parks and clubs across Kern County. It looks similar to tennis, but it's played on a much smaller court and with a plastic ball.
It's called pickleball, an interesting name for a sport that is taking Bakersfield and the nation by storm. 23 ABC's Allison Gargaro jumped into the craze to see exactly how it made its way into town. Allison?
Well, Tim and Jess, pickleball is one of the fastest growing sports in America, and let me tell you, it's one that the whole family can enjoy. Now, I'm a tennis player myself, but it was so easy for me to pick up a paddle to see what all the hype was about.
It's not an old person sport. I want to take that myth out of the equation. It's involving everybody. Everybody is coming to the sport.
According to the USA Pickleball Association website, the number of places to play the sport has more than doubled in the past 8 years.
It's just fun. And when you're retired, you have to find things that are fun to do. We're looking at one other facility to maybe do the same thing, to convert one of the tennis courts into something permanent. But we're really, in the back of our minds, wanting to build a dedicated pickleball facility. And we put it in our master plan, and we're hoping that sooner than later it becomes a reality.
Now, Tim and Jess, is this something that you guys would like to get involved with? Come out here and play pickleball?
Yeah, not when they throw the balls at you.
No,
but,
I don't want to get hit, but and it does look like fun. I've played tennis, you know, I'm not very good at it, but I mean, it would be, I think, new and exciting and challenging too.
Yeah, I played it. It's a lot easier because I feel like with tennis, you hit the ball too hard, it goes like across the street.
Right.
With pickleball, you can kind of control it more, right?
Very cool.
See, there's excitement and growth. News like this is everywhere. The more I was looking, the more I was completely in awe. Everywhere I looked, there were stories, articles, news, events, and loads of info that this game was exploding before everyone's eyes, but no one was really paying attention, including me, until I heard those 6 words from that sweet little girl. Here are just a sample of some of them. I mean, this was a 10-second Google search, and I won't go through them all in detail, but it was article after article of different communities, areas, and cities where more courts are being built. Unused tennis courts were being converted into pickleball courts. News everywhere that this game was literally exploding.
Hey, it's Rusty from Pickleball Channel, and I'm here at the Minto US Open Pickleball Championships. I'm joined once again by Melissa McCurley from Pickleball Tournaments, and many of you may have seen some of the industry updates Melissa's given. Tell us a little bit about the growth of the sport in relation to tournaments.
I'm the one who always says, Rusty, you could have a never-ending pickleball tournament.
And this year we're also joined by Anna Copley from Pickleball Central, one of the leading retailers in the pickleball industry. Can you tell us a little bit about the growth of the business and the industry?
Oh, Rusty, it's just been an incredible ride, this industry that we're in. I mean, just going back to 2014, about 3,000 paddles were going out the door at Pickleball Central every month, 3,000. Last year, in 2017, 16,000 paddles were going out the door every month. We've seen incredible growth in pickleball. Since we started in 2010, we've seen at least 40% growth every year, year after year, in pickleball. It's just been phenomenal. It's like this.
So I mean, paddle manufacturers, venues, everything's growing in the sport. Everybody, thank you for watching. Thanks for what you guys are doing to the sport, the tournaments, the retail, the businesses. All of us as a big family can do it together. Everybody, thanks for watching. Until next time, keep on playing.
Now, and I like what he said at the end too. We're like a big family. And if you notice in pickleball, it really is. It's got to be the most social sport ever. It's then that I began asking a question. What would be a simple way to position anyone with a passion for this game to get a share of this bulging pile of money, and include a way to help little girls like Brittany, other youth, teens, underprivileged, the handicapped, or others who've never heard of the game? Now, the question caused months of inner turmoil. Sometimes answers come in peculiar ways. While I was playing pickleball, I was in the middle of a game with a few people, and I was enjoying the sound of the ball. It's, that familiar sound it makes crack, many of us have grown to love. And you know how it sounds just a little different when you hit it harder or softer, or when you hit it near the edge of the paddle or in the center? Then it hit me like a ton of bricks. Yes, when the ball hits the middle of the paddle, the sweet spot, that is the best. The sweet spot is in the center of the paddle, not the edges. Simple ideas are the most powerful. The sweet spot is the center. We need it to become the sweet spot. The best parts of the industry is all we'd focus on. We had one simple idea. A bold idea, but a very simple one. To create an easy business that turns your pickleball passion into profits. This idea is transforming the pickleball industry, as I'm about to show you. Now, money is flowing in all different directions in pickleball. Look at, there's money going to paddles, balls, clothing, merchandise. It's going to leagues, it's going to vacations, advertising, tournaments, lessons, and clinics. I mean, money's flowing in all different directions to all different retailers and industry segments that are popping up just because of the demand. The money is flowing, and businesses are popping up like popcorn to receive some of this free-flowing money. We focused on getting the best sources of money in the pickleball industry flowing in one direction, directly towards the American Pickleball Association franchises. We decided to use the franchise model to take the very best of what franchising has to offer and eliminating the high cost associated with franchising. Is there a market for this? Well, as you've seen, that's a huge yes, but I'm going to continue to prove to you that not only is there a market, but it's screaming for the very thing we've created. There's a money exchange going on. The money is flowing, but now it's running towards us. Pickleball players everywhere in this ever-expanding market are actively looking to spend that money. Now, each franchise owner can get as big or as small of a piece of the market as desired. Now, let's take a look at the market size. We only want a fraction of the market. On the left is the total market in real terms on the planet. The market that's serviceable, we could actually reach, is about 12 million. Our target market share is a mere 3.25%. Now, that might sound large in a future where an industry is saturated with competitors. It is just starting to spike. 3.25% is very, very conservative. Now, here's the pickleball demographics as we know. Huge opportunities exist for years to come. Only 37% of the pickleball playing public are female. Clearly, that needs to grow. 63% are male. Now, this is what's striking. From the ages between 6 and 50, only 34% of all pickleball players come from that largest demographic. 66% are 55 and older. Now, you really have to let this land. The biggest demographic on the planet doesn't even know the game exists yet, and it is spiking in growth and money. Now, there's virtually untapped markets everywhere. The youth, and I'm going to get into that, high schools, colleges, women, handicapped, underprivileged, military, we are already penetrating these markets. Professional athletes, and you want to think big? What about the Olympics? We have aspirations to get pickleball into the Olympics. Yes, there are paid professional leagues. Many of you on here already know that. There are justifications for this to move toward the Olympics. Could you imagine what would happen to the growth of this game if even the talk of it getting into Olympics got media attention? Look at the growth that's going on right now, and no one even knows about it. Really, for all practical purposes, no one really knows about this sport. I talked to a tennis player 2 weeks ago. Plays tennis all the time, and asked him if he wanted to play pickleball. He goes, pickle what? He literally never heard of it. He's in the sport of tennis. Like me, I hadn't heard of pickleball. And look what's going on with the growth. What that means is there's something going on. When you have something going so big that people haven't heard of, you are on the verge of something really exciting. So, future growth, obviously kids. No one should be excluded from this great game. Kids will drive future growth, and they are extremely underserved. Kids in grade and high school, as well as the collegiate market, are virtually untapped. Just think about the leagues and tournaments and events and product consumption that can happen in the youth market. And it literally hasn't begun. Now, the iceberg is growing. The opportunity on the surface is nothing compared to what's below. Most people see the tip. Here's what you see in most people. That's a game with a quirky name that old people play. Some scheduled events so they can play and socialize. And there's a few online retailers selling a few paddles and balls and stuff. Well, the reality, here's what you don't see, is massive growth in tournaments and leagues. And I'm going to show you. Players seeking products, clinics, events, vacations, and more. Money moving through leagues and social communities all over the United States. And it's starting to move into the world. We'll get into that later. Youth, colleges, handicap, military, sponsorship opportunities, and so many more things that we can do. Now, pickleball growth is on a consistent upward trend. The number on the left is the growth rate in the amount of people that were coming into the sport, 12.3%. And that is, believe it or not, that's just a 2017 number. These are the most up-to-date numbers because the industry is growing so fast. There's not enough organizations that have taken a hold of different things like monitoring the data and growth and, compiling all this data. It's literally forming in front of us, which is another reason you should be doubly excited because the footprint that we're about to make hasn't even been made yet. Now, 8% is just the year-over-year growth. Now, I want to draw you to the last three boxes. Merchandise sales is far above 79. I tried to find the most conservative number I could, and that was it. To the right of that is tournaments, growing at 27% growth. That means every year the tournaments have 27% more action, more people, more money. Leagues, 49% growth in leagues. That means all local community and leagues and events. And we're going to show you how to profit from all of these. But one last point. The current growth rate of just people coming into it is generating that much revenue. Do you see the point I'm making? When that number starts to grow, meaning the growth of the people into the game, these numbers on the right are going to aggressively spike. Here's the opportunity curve, where we are right now. That arrow is right where the American Pickleball Association is positioned. on this curve. Far left, initial enthusiasts, the people got in early, the innovators that we just saw in a couple of that most recent news clip. Now we're right here, still the early adopters, getting ready for the growth curve. The growth curve is happening. We're positioning ahead of it. This is the growth phase. This is where you want to be. And when you're doing a business, you dream of being in these scenarios and seeing them in advance. Now, the growth, when it's in full swing, that's when the majority of people get in and start thinking about doing a business, and they jump in and try to, take their share. But if you get in the growth phase, you've already established a market. You've taken a piece of the market. Now you can diversify into other ways to monetize all of those people. So now, then it swings down the graph and it goes, most people will wait for more proof. Those are the people who are always late to the party. And the very bottom, they're the laggards. They wait till there's so much proof, they finally take action, there's no opportunity left. What I'm showing you today is that the evidence is everywhere. This is not something that might happen, it's already happening. So what we've done in this very simple way is just become a business center, the sweet spot to focus on the key areas of resource. We don't want it all. We don't need it all. Just focus on key areas. Now, here's just a quick refresher on this explosive growth. I just want to remind you, this is what's going on there.
We've seen incredible growth in pickleball. Since we started in 2010, we've seen at least 40% growth every year, year after year in pickleball. It's just been phenomenal. It's like this.
You see, we're the only ones who've created a system that allows anyone with a passion for the game of pickleball or a desire to go into business for themselves to profit from the explosive growth of pickleball. Our model has multiple revenue sources. I'll quickly go over them, then we'll go into a couple in detail. Leagues, tournaments, pickleball vacations, trainings and clinics, company store, memberships, advertising revenue at events, leagues, tourneys, website ad revenue. But let's just take a look at leagues. You could run a league every 2 months. They could be as big as small as you choose. And the same goes for tournaments. You could have 10 or 20 people, and that's enough for you. Some people want to run some big ones. They could have them as big as they want. Because as the lady from pickleballtournaments.com said, you could have a never-ending pickleball tournament. There's that much demand for it. Now for just leagues, just imagine you did, as I mentioned, maybe 6 a year, 1 a year, 3 a year. There's no real requirement. But let's say you had 128 participants. It doesn't take you that long to get 128 people, especially if you're doing them every 2 months. 128 entrants at, say, $40 a piece. That's over $5,000 every time you run one of these organized leagues. You could do several a year. So there's an income source just in leagues. Run a tournament maybe every 6 months. And how about pickleball vacation? Now, how exciting would it be to arrange a pickleball vacation? You don't have to just do one a year, because maybe the one you promoted in September, certain people couldn't make, but they could do one, for example, in May. You could run 2, 3 a year and have 20 to 40 people. I went on one that had 40 people in it. You could run, say, 1 or 2 a year or 3 a year. You could attend them all at no cost and make a profit. There's trainings and clinics that can be run. We have a company store that sells product. I'm going to show you how you don't even have to carry an inventory. You get paid. We have memberships that offer discounts to the store off our master main website. And we run that entire membership for you. You send people that sign up to the membership, you get paid recurring revenue on that. Advertising revenue at events, leagues, and tournaments. Then website ad revenue. As you get growing the website, you're going to get known, and other people in the industry might want to advertise on your website. There's ad revenue for you as well. You follow me so far? We've centralized the flow of money from the best sources of revenue. We are legally authorized to franchise in 35 states. Qualified individuals will get rights to develop larger areas. Now, here are a few reasons this is such a great business model. No inventory. You literally do not have to stock any inventory. The one thing you might need is a net, a couple of our branded paddles, and a ball. Your basic kit, right? But no inventory. No equipment to buy, like typical franchises, fridges. You got the build out, structural changes to the property. Horrendous expenses. Zero. No physical location. No rent. No overhead. No staffing. No employees. A computer. It is the simplest business model imaginable. If you have a real passion for pickleball and a computer, you're good to go. It's your office. Now, the online platform runs the business. We have software that automates the management of leagues and tournaments for you, so you work less and play pickleball more. You get an online presence, a custom website and Facebook page. We build it for you. It's already done. The website is built for you. It's mobile optimized because that's the modern world. Everyone's on their phones now. You get a Facebook page to grow a social community, which we highly encourage because people love to chat about this sport, and they will join your community in your local area. And remember, others hear about that community. Now, we are positioned for success. If you've heard the term right place at the right time, it applies to this. Hopefully all the things I've shared with you demonstrate that and prove it, and I'm going to continue to. Timing. When preparation meets opportunity, you have perfect timing. That's where we are. The growth, players, tournaments, product sales, travel, all continue to spike. Market. It has barely been tapped, and so many markets are being ignored. The last one is the system. That's where we come in. That's what makes us unique, and that's why we're poised to ride this wave in a very lucrative way for the right people. We can capitalize on the market growth with a flexibility to adjust to anything that the market does. There are 2.9 million players in the USA, and it's expanding rapidly across the globe. There are people everywhere starting to play this game. There are many reasons to expect continued and accelerating growth. The game is easy to learn, so there's no real learning curve. Obviously a big asset. For duplicating a game, when it's easy to learn, that's a big influencer. It's easy to play. It doesn't require heightened physical gifts. Anyone can play it. Like this little girl, Brittany. Like people that are 85. Like people that are 7. Anyone can play it, and you don't have any overhand, so the tennis players who had maybe rotator cuff injuries can play this game. That makes it very accessible. Games don't take long to play. This is a huge driver. Now, golf. I have a friend who plays a lot of golf. It's 4 hours if they're moving. Maybe 4.5. No one has that time anymore. Young people are not taking up golf, but it is not growing because of these particular issues. Now, inexpensive. Paddle, net, and a ball is all you need. It's much like basketball. It got so big because anyone could afford to play it, right? Pickleball's the same way. Can be played at any age. I like to say it can be played from the womb to the tomb, right? You can play it when you're a child. And to me, this is the magic. Someone who's 7 can play with someone who's 70, like at the same time. It's very different. There's something very unique about pickleball, that it spans generations. And it's the most social of all the games. The pickleball community is by far the busiest and most active, consistently across the US. These are not small reasons why this is going to continue to spike. These are massive reasons. And the demand is massive. Anywhere the game is being played, it is growing. There are literally no barriers to entry for this game. It has all the ingredients for continued and accelerated growth. Great business for the retired. Make money while doing what you love. Can't beat that. Go on paid pickleball vacations several times a year if you choose. Do 1, none, 3, 4. If you want to travel more and have fun, why not? Be a valued member of the pickleball community. Share your passion and knowledge with the younger generation. Pass it on to your kids or grandkids. There's a great feeling when you get to share your knowledge with someone young and to play with a game and teach them and they teach you. That's dynamic. That has glue. There's something, it's hard to express, but to me, that's a huge factor in the beauty of pickleball. And I think one of the drivers that keeps the social community going so well and why this sport continues to grow. You know, if someone's new to business, this is a perfect business. Someone who doesn't want a lot of risk, but likes the idea of working for themselves, a complete system that takes the stress out of starting a business. It's a business in a box, well, a computer more specifically, but really you're out playing pickleball most of the time. Play pickleball every day while you're making money. Why not, right? I mean, the market is there, growth is there, demand is there, disposable income is there. Plenty of time to spend that money. Remember, the largest demographic of pickleball players are 55 plus. Where do you think the bulk of the wealth is in the United States? In the bank accounts of people 55 plus. They have plenty of time. They're retired. They have plenty of time to spend their money, and they're looking for ways to spend it. So powerful evidence of accelerating growth. Now, who this is for? If you're a self-starter, that's usually a good thing. And if you're coachable, because we do have a system, it is a blueprint. and you're in business for yourself but not by yourself, which is why this model is so effective. And if you like to be your own boss, perhaps a little business savvy, that's a good thing. If you're retired, doesn't have to be, but many are retired and maybe you want to stay active, it's a great way to do that. Passionate about the game, like to help spread the joy of this great game to others, want to make an impact, leave a legacy, want to live a pickleball lifestyle. I mean, really, if you look at this entire presentation and what the business is we actually created, what is it we're offering? It's a lifestyle. It's really just a lifestyle. You're doing what you love anyways, and you're going to make some money on the side while you're doing it. You get to share it, you get to teach, you get to learn, you get to laugh, get to socialize, go on vacations, and enjoy your life doing what you love. And many of us didn't get that opportunity. Some did, and that's great, but many didn't. And here's a chance. I mean, why not? What a great way to experience every day. We also have a sister company that's a nonprofit organization because we actively give back. It's in the DNA of the American Pickleball Association. We take it to heart. We like to give back and the handicapped and underprivileged and to contribute to youth and boys and girls clubs. We have inroads there, and we want to grow the game in the community, leagues and tournaments, and just the community in general to people who maybe just couldn't get access to it, never heard of it. Maybe they couldn't afford it, which is unlikely, but some people can't. They couldn't get a paddle like Brittany. So we want to help. And it is very rewarding and fulfilling to do this. I mean, it brings more joy. Yes, there's money in this business. Obviously, it's everywhere. But that's not the only driver for us. Our mission is pretty simple: to facilitate growth and profit for each franchise owner while actively giving back to the game by promoting it to the youth, underprivileged, handicapped, military, and those who've never had the privilege of playing pickleball. So, are you ready to be a part of something really, really big? Become a part of the American Pickleball Association team and get paid while spreading the joy of the game you love. Why not, right? So now you have two paths to choose from. Your future is calling you. As you watch this webinar, I congratulate you for watching it to the end. You can do nothing. You can take one path and stay the same, just another lost opportunity and watch from the sidelines, because we are going to grow this throughout the United States and ultimately the world. For those who share our vision, they will have first option to help us move into other countries, those who actively build it in the USA first. Now, you could take the other path, which is to join us and to give back to the game and turn your passion into profit, and most importantly, to live the pickleball lifestyle, to continue enjoying the game you already love. Now here's the 3-step checklist. Here's what you're going to do. Step 1, just click the orange button below. Step 2, complete the inquiry intake form and submit. Step 3, check your email inbox for confirmation and direct communication from us. You will get it fast, and you can explore the details of this enormous opportunity. It's your turn to stake your claim in the future of pickleball. Be a part of the movement. Click the orange button to take your next step.